This has got to stop. On Bill Gates' blog, Gates Notes, linked below, we can find an article with the following subheadline: Why I'm making big bets on novel fats and oils. Let's quickly break this down. Novel fats and oils, new fats and oils, which really means fake fats and oils. Now, when he says making big bets, that's not a euphemism for keeping my fingers crossed. That literally means trying to make a lot of money with this venture. And we'll come back to the money making in a second. So Bill starts by saying, cheeseburgers are my favorite food, but I wish they weren't, given the impact they have on the environment. Which impact are you talking about, Bill? The impact of that cow to produce beef? Or the impact of large-scale production of crops and subsequent processing that goes on to produce the bun and other condiments in the cheeseburger? You know, the things that rely on the synthetic fertilizers that contribute to climate change and environmental destruction when the nutrients from said fertilizers run off into the environment. So which impact, Bill? Bill goes on to say, I've tried many of the best meat and dairy replacements out there, and while I've had some great ones, nothing currently on the market would fool a burger lover completely. Even when the taste is close, there's still something missing. The greasy, oily sizzle that brings the ideal sandwich together and makes it so delicious and difficult to replicate. Honestly, Bill, I don't want to think about you and greasy, oily and sizzly in the same sentence. The secret ingredient is animal fat. It's what gives so many foods their richness, juiciness, meltability, unique mouthfeel, and overall flavor. It's what distinguishes butter from margarine, dairy ice cream from a plant-based frozen dessert, and a great burger from one made of soy protein or peas. Unfortunately, it's also a disaster for the climate. Each year the world emits 51 billion tons of greenhouse gases, and the production of fats and oils from animals and plants make up 7% of that. To combat climate change, we need to get the number to 0. Why are you so concerned, Bill? Why is a 68-year-old billionaire with 5 private jets so worried about the climate? Surely if you were worried about the climate, you'd scrap your jets, Bill, or at least fashion them into your own fake meat. After all, compare the environmental impact of a few cows on the production of millions of components that go into putting your jets together, to the impact of all those jet manufacturers' employees driving to work so they can put the jets together for you, and to all the resources used and discarded by those employees as they put those millions of components together to build the jets. Aren't you worried about that impact, Bill? Or is that just a necessary evil in your mind? And if that's the case, who gets to decide what's necessary and what's not? You? Bill goes on to say, our plan can't be to simply hope that people give up foods they crave. After all, humans are wired to want animal fats for a reason, because they're the most nutrient-rich and calorie-dense macronutrient in the same way we're wired to crave sugar for an instant energy kick. What we need are new ways of generating the same fat molecules found in animal products, but without greenhouse gas emissions, animal suffering, or dangerous chemicals. And they have to be affordable for everyone. So at this point, I again have to ask, why does a 68-year-old billionaire care? Why does a guy who didn't care about any of this for decades while he was a leader of a billion-dollar company suddenly care? We're about to get the answer. He continues, it might sound like a pipe dream, but a company called Savor, which I'm invested in, is in the process of doing it. Now it all makes sense. If I could just remind you of the subheadline of this article, why I'm making big bets on novel fats and oils. Bill Gates doesn't give a crap about you. He doesn't care about the environment. It's all about making money. And if you want to make money and you do it under the guise of supporting initiatives to fight climate change, then you're going to face much less resistance with your venture. Potentially, you're going to get some support from quarters that would otherwise not have given a money-making venture support. He continues, they started with the fact that all fats are made of varying chains of carbon and hydrogen atoms. Then they set out to make those same carbon and hydrogen chains without involving animals or plants. They ultimately developed a process that involves taking carbon dioxide from the air and hydrogen from the water, heating them up and oxidizing them to trigger the separation of fatty acids and then the formulation of fat. The result is real fat molecules like the ones we get from milk, cheese, beef, and vegetable oils. The process doesn't release any greenhouse gases and it uses no farmland and less than 1,000th of the water that traditional agriculture does. And most important, it tastes really good, like the real thing, because chemically, it is. And there are two problems with this. Firstly, what's the environmental impact of this process? He says there are no greenhouse gas emissions, but there's obviously a process that has to be gone through to create these fat molecules. So what is it? And once we have these fat molecules, what is the process that has to be gone through to create these products like fake butter, fake meat, and fake cheese? I won't say fake vegetable oils because they're already fake. Secondly, this is the problem with having a programmer involved in a process like this. To a programmer, everything is binary. It's on or off. It's 1 or 0. To illustrate, let's say that a real cut of beef is made up of 10 fat molecules and 10 protein molecules. A programmer's perspective would be, okay, so we know how a cut of beef is made, so we just need to come up with a way of producing 10 protein molecules and 10 fat molecules and then glue them together and we've got our beef. Voila! Trouble is your body going to recognize this as beef? And is your body going to be able to extract any nutrition from this in the same way it would have extracted nutrition from a real cut of beef? As Bill says in his article, after all, humans are wired to want animal fats for a reason, because they're the most nutrient-rich and calorie-dense macronutrient. So, are we going to be able to extract that nutrition from the fake meat? Who cares? Bill's got money to make and there's an environment to be saved. Bill goes on, I've tasted Saber's products and I couldn't believe I was eating real butter. The burger came close too. So the burger still doesn't taste like real meat then, Bill? But it's close enough for us peasants who can't afford a private jet. The big challenge is to drive down the price so that products like Saber's become affordable to the masses, either the same cost as animal fats or less. Saver has a good chance of success here, because I'm going to lobby the crap out of governments worldwide in the name of climate change. The focus on animal fats is a priority because they have an outsized impact on climate and play an outside role in many beloved foods. Can you just park jet number 5 behind jet number 4 there? Thanks. Remember, Bill Gates is invested in the company that he claims is needed to save the world. Isn't that what we typically would call a conflict of interest? So, Bill Gates, I have a message for you in Australian. You're a wanker, mate. And if you want to find out what you should be eating, check out this video next.